Hey guys, welcome to another episode of FS&B Garage, and in this episode, hopefully, we can get the turbo in the front of the engine all buttoned up. So, in the last episode, I ended up putting on the accessories with the smaller belt. Now, when you put the smaller belt on, you want to make sure, because it's a smaller rib, that it's on the inside rib on both this and this, so that way it matches with the alternator. Otherwise, it's crooked and it'll probably start squeaking. So now that everything's on, I also had to take out the old crossover pipe, and ZZPerformance gives you a new one like this. But the problem with it is that this is for an LDK block, so this won't work with my engine. So what I ended up doing was I took the gasket from here and I took the crossover pipe. You want to put some dielectric grease on both of those O-rings, and then I installed it. So this is what it looks like on my crossover pipe, and now I'm going to put a thermostat in so that way I can attach the oil cooler, and then I will start plumbing for the turbo. Alright guys, so I got the new pipe on. I also, the oil feed you have to take out is God, I can't find it now. Yeah, I don't know where I put it, but it is, oh, it's right here. You gotta take that out. It's a little plug. It's a 6mm Allen. So see how there's one there, there's one there, and then there's usually one there. Well, I installed the fitting that ZZPerformance supplies along with the high turbo feed just to get that out of the way. And the next I will be installing is the exhaust spacer and the exhaust manifold to the engine. So the spacer goes gasket, spacer, and then another gasket, and then you put the exhaust manifold on top of that. Alright guys, so the exhaust manifold is on, all the studs. I replaced the lock washers because these were pretty much expired. So now I got that, I got the oil feed on. Next will be to say hi to Dad. Hola. And then the next step is going to be to install the drain on the bottom of the turbo. It says in the instructions to use a gasket, but I couldn't find a gasket, so I'm using this to make my own. And then you got to put a little bit of RTV on both sides and then tighten that down. So I'm going to do that next. All right guys, time to mount the turbo. I installed the oil turbo fitting for the drain plug. I put a gasket with a little bit of RTV on each side. I put that same stuff that I did the oil pan with, that AC Delco part number. You can look back in the previous videos to find that number. And now I'm just going to mount the turbo up. Alright guys, so I had to do a little bit of trimming to the exhaust manifold just because it was clearancing against the turbo. It was actually touching it, so now it's clearance just enough where it's not touching it. I'm happy with it. I'm going to leave it alone, and without further ado, this looks freaking awesome. Look at that. So I did go with the Z54 option, and hopefully this will make around 22 to 24 pounds of boost, and supposedly can make a little bit over 400 horsepower on this engine, bone stock. Now my engine's going to be a little bit more modified than that, so hopefully we can get a little bit more power out of it. But that is the turbo install on this LSJ engine. We install the dual pass end plate. When you do this, you have to unbolt all 7 of these. They're 10mm, and then that will come off. You also have to make sure that, I don't think you can really see inside there, but you get all these little get all these little washers off because those are important. And then now what you do is I'm going to lube up these O-rings, put one on each side, and then I'll show you what's next. And then once you're all set with that, you want to make sure that this O-ring is not damaged in any way. And mine looks pretty good. I mean, it wasn't leaking before, so we're going to use it. Make sure that you lube up all the old rings. I put white lithium grease on, I put dielectric grease on there. And make sure that you don't have any O-rings or washers down in the bottom in the back side, because there's 4 O-rings on this side and then 4 washers and then the same on the other side. So you just gotta make sure that all the old ones are out before you put the new ones in. And now I'm gonna put the end plate on with the 7 bolts and tighten it down. All right guys, the dual pass end plate's on. So now next I'm going to clean up this mating surface a little bit, and then I am going to put it on the engine. All right guys, so now I'm going to put this on with the new EC Delco intake gasket. There's the part number for everyone following along. And now I'm going to install this and we'll get right back to you. All right guys, so I got the adapter plate mounted. Now the bolts that are supplied in the kit for the throttle body, they were a little bit too short, so I had to go run down to the hardware store and get some new bolts with some spacers. Modified by that. Modified by that man over there. Yep. Then I put the valve cover on, torqued each of those bolts down to 89 inch pounds. The next thing that I will probably do is clean up the valve cover, put the crossover on, and then I'm going to start working on the oil feed and the coolant lines. Since the last time you saw me, I put on the turbo O2 housing. I bolted that up. I replaced the heater hose with the ZZPerformance one, like it said. I don't know if this is the right hose. I might have to get a different one. But I replaced that. Tighten those down. I have to still tighten down the oil feed. And I just took out the old engine mount, transmission mount actually, and I'm going to be putting the new actually I'm sorry, this is over-the-top performance. So I'm going to be putting the over-the-top performance. It's a 2-piece design. I'm going to be putting that in the car, and once I'm done with that, I'll get back with you. Okay, now we got the new mount in. You gotta obviously put the part that says up, and the flat side goes out towards the transmission. There's like a little bit of a gap on the other side that slots inside of the frame of the vehicle. So now next what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten down that oil fitting. I'm going to play with a couple clamps because I think that I put on the wrong ones. And then we should be, I'm gonna have to clean up obviously, and then we should be able to put this back in the car. All right guys, so I put the PCV hose on the intake. You just have to trim that down. I also got the silicone heater hose on. I attached the 30-inch one, it's a 1/4-inch coolant line with the worm clamp. I got the other one routed right by the drain and then into the bottom of the water pump. And I got the worm clamp on there. All my connections are fastened down. I did put the injectors on with my adapter harness again. I'm gonna probably zip tie this, make it look neat. And now I'm going to find the oil cap that I have, and then I'm going to start putting the wiring back on. So that's it for the video. Thank you guys and have a great day. Thanks.